Ever get that, like, heart in your throat feeling right before you got to speak a new language?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, the words are right there, but your tongue's turned to lead.
Yeah, yeah.
We've all been there, right? It's that weird mix of excitement, wanting to use this new language, but then bam, the fear hits.
Right, right.
But hey, that's exactly why we're diving into this today. How to overcome the fear of speaking a new language. Makes sense, right? I mean, what's the point of learning if you never actually, speak?
Got to use it.
One thing that always makes me feel better is knowing, like, okay, it's not just me being weird here.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
And this guide actually says that making mistakes, messing up, it's actually good for us.
It's true. Good for our brains, actually.
Really? Tell me more about that.
So when we make a mistake, especially speaking, our brain kind of kicks into overdrive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's working hard to correct it. And that process of like recognizing, oops, that wasn't right, then figuring out why and fixing it, that actually strengthens the connections in our brain for that language.
So it's like, I don't know, highlighting a textbook, but inside my head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Neurological highlighting. Pretty cool, huh?
That is cool. So more mistakes, my brain's like, pay attention. Okay, that's a relief, honestly.
Right. Takes the pressure off a bit.
But how does just like recognizing the mistake do that? Isn't it enough to, I don't know, just know the grammar rules?
Good question. It's the difference between knowing about something and actually doing it.
Yeah.
Your brain treats them differently. Think of it like baking. You can read a recipe, understand the ingredients, even picture yourself doing it, right?
Yeah, totally.
But until you're elbow deep in flour, actually feeling the dough, your brain doesn't fully get it.
Huh, I never thought of it that way.
Same with language. Making the mistake, then that aha moment of recognizing it, that forces your brain to engage way more deeply.
So it's like active learning versus just passive.
Exactly. And that active engagement, that's what sticks with you.
Makes sense. Okay, so messing up, not so bad after all. But what about actually, like, opening your mouth, making those first sounds? That's the hard part for me. This guide mentions something called shadowing. Any good?
Shadowing. Oh, it's fantastic. Especially when you're just starting out, trying to build confidence, fluency, all that. Basically, you find some audio video, something in your target language, something you actually enjoy, and you just, imitate it.
So, like, try to sound exactly like them? I'm picturing, like, a vocal doppelganger situation?
Exactly. Become their voice shadow. And the cool thing is, the source points this out, it really trains your ear and your mouth to work together.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, so it's not just the words themselves, how it all flows together.
Exactly. Rhythm, intonation, it all starts to feel more natural because you're training those muscles, not just your brain.
Because I'm not stressing about, like, what to say, I can really focus on the how. This guide also mentions chunking, kind of like shadowing's chill cousin, maybe.
Chunking is all about, chunks. Think of it like this. Native speakers, they don't think word by word.
Right. It all just kind of comes out.
Exactly. Chunking is recognizing those phrases, those patterns they use naturally, and then you're basically building with these bigger blocks instead of individual words.
So instead of getting lost in the grammar weeds, I can just grab a chunk and sound way smoother, faster.
The source had a great example. Imagine trying to order a coffee, right? I would like to order a coffee, please. Sounds simple, but that's a lot of words to juggle.
Too many words, especially before coffee.
Right. So chunks. I would like. That's your first chunk. Then to order, boop, another one. And finally, a coffee, please. Easy peasy.
Like linguistic Legos. I love it. Okay, so shadowing, chunking, great for solo practice. But then there's, the real world. Actually talking to people, which is terrifying.
Yeah, that first conversation hurdle is a big one.
Any advice on how to make that less, I don't know, vomit-inducingly scary?
This is where having language parents can be a game changer.
Wait, like finding someone to adopt me? Sign me up. Although I'm not sure I want parents judging my Italian pronunciation.
Maybe not actual parents.
Good, because mine are still waiting for me to master thank you in their language, so.
Right, so language parents, in this sense, they're people you can practice with who create that safe, supportive space.
Oh, I get it. They get that you're learning, they're patient with the mistakes, they're there to guide you, just like, hopefully good parents would.
Precisely. And just like finding your people in life, finding the right language parents, those who you click with, that makes all the difference.
It's about that feeling of being safe to mess up, Which reminds me, this guide talks a lot about mindset, too.
Oh, absolutely. Mindset is huge. The source emphasizes cultivating a growth mindset specifically. It's not about, I need to be fluent now. It's about embracing the journey, however messy it gets.
So instead of freaking out that I still can't, I don't know, navigate a restaurant in Japanese, it's more like, hey, every mistake, every conversation, it's all progress.
Exactly. You're reframing those failures
Yeah.
as opportunities to learn and grow. It's powerful stuff.
It's like instead of, oh no, I messed up again, it's level unlocked.
Love that.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about mistakes being our brain's best workout, right?
In a mental gym session.
Exactly. And we've got our shattering, our chunking, our language cheer squad.
Don't forget the importance of good language parents.
Right, right. But there's this one last thing in how to overcome the fear of speaking a new language that I think ties it all together.
And it's the most important part, really, taking action.
Because knowing stuff is great, but actually doing it, that's where the magic happens, right?
100%. The source talks about this a lot, creating those opportunities to speak, even when it feels, kind of scary.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Right.
But what does that look like, actually going from theory to, like, real-life conversations?
It can be small things. How about challenging yourself to use one new phrase each day with a native speaker?
Okay, I like that.
Or maybe joining, like, a language exchange online. There are tons. The key is just to keep pushing your comfort zone, little by little.
And each time you do that, each time you push past that fear, you get a little more confidence, right?
Exactly. It becomes a positive feedback loop. Like working a muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
I'm all about that positive feedback loop. This guide also talks about celebrating the wins, even the small ones.
Oh, absolutely. Every conversation, every time you successfully use a new phrase, that's a win. Acknowledge it, celebrate it, own it.
Time for a victory dance.
Why not? You earned it. And remember, progress isn't always a straight line, right?
Oh, tell me about it. Some days I'm fluent-ish, other days I'm back to pointing and grunting.
That's the journey. Language learning, it's got its peaks and valleys, just like anything worthwhile. The important thing is to keep going, keep that curiosity alive.
And a sense of humor, too, right?
Essential. Some of the best stories come from those oops moments.
You won't believe what I accidentally told that nice baker.
Yeah?
Yep, been there. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into how to overcome the fear of speaking a new language, I'm realizing it's less about, like, conquering the fear and more about, I don't know, befriending it.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a part of the process, that little nod of nervousness. You're pushing yourself, growing.
Yeah.
And that's something to be celebrated.
Totally. So to everyone listening, keep those ears open, keep those tongues moving, and remember, every word you learn, every conversation you stumble through, it's expanding your world. And that's pretty amazing. Until next time, happy language adventuring, everyone.